anchoring is the most critical part of trapping, because our ultimate goal is to catch the animals that we set traps for. And we can set the perfect trap, but if you don't anchor that trap, you won't have the animal. So you know, when you're talking with dry land traps or predator traps, you've got several options. You've got Old Faithful, tried and true rebar. You know, rebar is good. You can select what the size rebar you want. You can get longer sizes. You can cross stake it if you need to. But it's big, it's bulky, it's heavy. I'm not a big fan of rebar. Then, you know, I'm a big fan of cable stakes or earth anchors. Not necessarily cable stakes, but you know, something that you can drive down in the ground. They don't take up a lot of room. You can have them pre-attached to your traps. You can dye them, you can treat them. It's just to me a lot easier and makes a lot more sense. The caveat, you know, the potential downside to any kind of earth anchor is you've got to have a driver of some sort, and that's one extra thing to keep up with. You know, and if you lose, you need them back up, because if you lose one or misplace one, then you're done setting traps until you find that. So you do have to have a driver, but then you got several options so far as the actual anchors themselves. You've got bullet points, bullet stakes, whatever you want to call them. There's several types of these. There's all kinds of them. Fin super stakes. They're all good. They're all about the same. It's just whatever you prefer and whether you want to make your own or buy them pre-made. And you can buy them or make them with chain. The advantage to chains, you know, that chain should last forever. You should be able to, you know, pull them up and keep using it over and over again. It's going to be real durable and real reliable. Then you've got cable. Cable's obviously cheaper than chain, but you know that cable's not going to last forever. You're going to need, after 3, 4, 5 years, something like that. There's a lifespan, and you don't want to be counting on old cable, you know, to be holding your trap there, and you get there and the cable's broke, because it's beyond its useful life. So you've got these, you know, the stakes, the super stakes, which to me they're more expensive. I consider them more of a permanent option. Then there's also disposable cable stakes like the Berkshires, or I'm a pretty big fan of the Pogos. And the Pogo system, if you're not aware, it's a very simplistic system. It's just washers, a J-hook, and then your cable. You can buy the washers in bulk, you can buy the hooks in bulk, and you can buy the cable in bulk. So if you're trapping hard ground, you can't pull your cable up, cut it and go. Don't worry about it. That's what I like about them. Then with the Pogos, you can also get different size washers depending on how hard or soft your soil may be, or how sandy your soil may be. So you can kind of customize your washers and also the length of your cable to your ground conditions, and make a cable and a stake that really fits your ground conditions. And then ultimately, you know, rebar, super stake, or disposable, whatever it is, it just depends on, you know, your preference, what your ground's like. If you've got really hard ground, you may want to go with something that's more disposable. You can hammer it in, it's cheap, you can make them yourself. When you get done, cut it, pull that trap, and go on with it. You know, and parts of the South have really sandy soils, and you know, even using a long super stake like this, you can run a tile spade down right beside it, wiggle it a little bit, pull it right out of that sand, and keep on going with it. So, you know, there's a lot of options. Check them out, look at them, some of them, see which one fits you best, and then go with it.